Good morning, Marcellin staff and students. I'm sitting here with established Melbourne-based fashion stylist Emma Boseley. Emma, thanks so much for giving your time to talk to us on International Women's Day.
My pleasure.
Just to tell you a little bit about us, we are a Catholic boys' school in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne, and our college is comprised of approximately 1,200 students and roughly 200 staff. We are a diverse community as we are moving in a direction where we have multiple faiths and orientations and heritages across our school, and we are very keen to animate International Women's Day each year. Last year we heard from Lisa Jacobs, who is the director of the Amy Gillett Foundation and who is also a professional women's cyclist. She shared her story from an athlete's perspective in the women's field of a male-dominant sport. This year's theme is about embracing equity, and we would love to hear about your journey so far as a fashion stylist. So what can you tell us about your story?
So I grew up in a small country town in central Victoria. At the age of 13, I moved to Bendigo with my family. Being from such a rural place, it was initially quite hard to adjust to the lifestyle and pace, as it was such a contrast to the way it was in the country. I was quite talented at basketball and hockey, and I played this competitively and found this was a really good way to immerse myself in activities that got me used to the way of life. And it's also how I met friends of various diverse backgrounds, which was really important to me, and I think that's something that I really cherish to this day. I was quite often asked to train with the men's team or play in mixed sporting teams due to my ability, and they wanted to in some way, I guess, train me up to be quicker and better than what I was playing with the women's team. It was a blessing but also a curse in others. It was a time when boys were quite harsh and competitive with women who were good at sport, and often I would be cast out a little because I wasn't male. The flip side of this was it made me try harder and to also be better. Reflecting on this now, I see it was preparing me for my adult years working in the menswear industry. I was quite interested in fashion more in my formative years at high school, and luckily I had the opportunity to study fashion at high school.
Cool.
I applied for RMIT and was lucky to get in. I actually applied twice. The first time I didn't get in, and the second time I did. And I got to therefore study a Bachelor of Design Fashion. I graduated in 2012 from RMIT. I got my first role working in menswear shortly thereafter. It did take some months for a New Zealand-owned menswear brand based in Melbourne. My first few years in the industry saw my role comprising of being an assistant designer, which was quite a small role, but also saw me learn the ropes of how the industry worked and how commercial the menswear industry was, in contrast to university. I certainly pushed the boundaries and limits with my male boss, but he was also quite good in steering me in the right direction, especially upon reflection now with the people I get to mentor and who I get to manage. I think I was quite lucky to have him. I was quite frustrated with assisting, as it didn't seem to me to be fulfilling enough or to push my skills to their limits, and I was always wanting more. So I soon received an offer from a big retailer in Sydney to be their head of design for the menswear department. It was a big step for me and for my career. I was in Sydney for 4 years, and over this time I came into contact with some really great mentors, but also some very challenging people too. If there ever was something I learned from playing sport, it was never to give up and always to recognize your own worth, no matter the difficulties, and also remember you're worthy of your place.
Absolutely.
Those years I spent working harder than everyone else to showcase that I had equal skills certainly proved valuable.
Sure.
And to this day they still do. I spent 4 years in Sydney, and then I received a good offer to move back to Melbourne for work, and that was for New Denim, which is where I work today. I've worked for New for 4 years now, And working in both this role and the one in Sydney has enabled me to travel to Europe, America, China, Japan, and Seoul, just to name some of the places I've been able to go. I've had fun working in fashion because I'm super passionate about it. When I've been challenged by those within the industry or made to feel I don't belong, I quite often let that give me the push that I need to grow upwards, diversify my career, and fight for equity and equality.
Wow, very inspiring and very different to a teaching career, I can tell you. From your perspective, what is the difference between equality and equity?
From my perspective, equity refers to the quality of being fair and impartial, whereas equality refers to the state of being equal. From my opinion, these two terms should be one and the same. You must have equity in order to achieve equality. I must have a sense of equity within my job to therefore feel equality.
Yeah.
That's how I see it in my mind and my mindset.
Sure, that
Yeah.
makes sense. So for boys and staff listening,
Yeah.
how can we think about the concepts of equality and equity?
Sure. I think this is definitely something I could speak about for quite a while. As a female in a male-led industry, equity is being paid the same as a male or a person who is at the same level as myself. That's my belief. Equality is being treated with the same level of respect and fairness as everyone should be. I don't believe in segmentation or being treated a specific way because of your role or level within a workplace. Everyone should be treated fairly and equally, regardless of their role, gender, or ethnicity.
Yeah, I agree. As a community made up of mostly males, how can we embrace equity in our daily lives and in our interactions with women as a whole?
There are so many contributing factors that form the foundation for making us think about our behaviour and how to evolve to ensure equity is consistent in our interactions with women. The main three I would say would be the following. One would be self-awareness. Teach yourself and or others to be self-aware. Equity starts here. This can start with understanding what is wrong with certain types of behaviour to women and what is correct. Number two would be align yourself with a good role model who has compassion, admiration, and nothing but respect for women. If you don't have one, try and find one who has these morals. Number three would be address inappropriateness in a calm manner. And always try to listen and be open to be educated. We never really stop learning or fighting for equity and being treated equally. Try to always remember this. It's something I remind myself of every day.
So 3 simple steps, very good message. Thank you. Boys, before we finish up with this video, I'd just like to remind you that there are purple ribbons being passed around in Pastoral today. I encourage you to wear them as a symbol of your appreciation for the women in your life and for your solidarity in acknowledging that we are all equal. We've come a long way over the years and there's still a lot of work to be done. For this reason, we are fundraising for an international organisation known as CARE, which supports women worldwide, including Australia, in defeating poverty and supporting those most in need. Last year alone, they helped 1.44 million people across 14 different countries and doing their part to save lives and ensure equity and equality for women. In the quad today at lunchtime, there will be pizza slices sold for $2.50 and cans of drinks sold for $2. There is a Guess the Lolly jar being passed around in pastorals where you'll have your chance to provide a gold coin donation and make a guess. Get it right and the jar is yours. As a Catholic Mara school, we recognise the value of Mary, our good mother, and will continue to celebrate International Women's Day by doing our part to create a better future for everyone.